Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's Paul Zeise. It is the Big Show. Thank you for joining the Big Show. As always, we do the Big Show on every single day about 5 o'clock. We try and bring in all the topics that are from the day. Of course, today the big one. Even though, well, as you notice, I'm in a different location here. It's because I am in at Oakmont for the U.S. Open. However, that's not the biggest story of the day. I mean, obviously, nationally, I guess, and actually all around the world, the U.S. Open might be the biggest. But the biggest story today here in Pittsburgh is Aaron Rodgers finally met with the media. He was at minicamp. I'm sure that he was unbelievably good throwing the football, and he finally met with the media to discuss all of the stuff that has gone on over the last couple of months. Now, that being said, I found a couple of things to be very interesting in what he said. First one, and I think that the one that probably a lot of us are interested in or whatever would be the fact that the reason he signed, the number one reason he signed with the Steelers, and this is going to have a lot of people talking to themselves, and they'll be upset about this. The number one reason that he signed with the Steelers is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is the reason that he signed with the Steelers primarily because I've been a fan of his for a long time. There are a few iconic franchises in the NFL. I played for one of them for 18 years. This is another one of those. And he basically got married this year, spoke with a lot of teams, but he really liked, Tomlin's honesty, sort of his straightforward approach, and basically said that he was sold 100%, really sold on the idea of playing for the Steelers, mostly because Tomlin was very, very, very honest. Also, that him and Omar and even Art Rory basically all said, hey, we're going to do everything in our power to make this work for you. And so take your time or whatever, and then we're going to go from there, and we'll see what happens. So to me, I just think that when you look at it all in its entirety, the approach of the Steelers is really the reason why Aaron Rodgers is here. It's not just about Mike Tomlin. It's the approach of the entire Steelers organization, everyone from top to bottom. And he basically said, hey, here it is. And of course the question was asked, why did it take you so long? And this is basically what he, has said all along. But he basically said, hey, it's taken so long because I've had some things in my personal life I've had to deal with. I think one of the things that's pretty interesting is that he did get married, and I don't remember like a big grand announcement. If I'm not mistaken, I think that I remember something to the effect of, well, he's wearing a ring now, or he's doing something. I forget exactly what it was. But hey, that's pretty significant, And so to me, listen, this is all going to either work or not work based on a couple of things. One, if they win, nobody's going to care about how he got here. Nobody's going to care about his vaccines stance. Nobody's going to care about, what he has done in terms of, the cleanses and all the weird things that he does. Nobody's going to care about his appearances on Pat McAfee. None of that stuff will be discussed or talked about ever again if he plays well and the Steelers win. Period. That's just sort of the reality of it all, to me at least. We can sit here and talk about these things as much as you want to talk about them, and we will, I guess. But to me, you know what? He's here now. He's gotten sort of ingrained in what is expected of him. It sounds like he's had a good meeting. He had a good meeting this morning with all of his teammates. It sounds like they're all on board with him. And so I feel like there's not a whole lot more to discuss now at this point. It's nice that he's here. It's nice that he's there playing. It's nice that he's, I think it was Cam Hayward said, some nice things about him. Zach Frazier said some nice things about him. A couple of other guys, they all said, hey, seems like he's pretty good. And it seems like he's all in. He, in fact, told them today, his teammates, hey, I'm all in with you, yada, yada. So that's the biggest thing. So it's one of those things that, today he just kind of did individual drills. He didn't do team drills, but, he's obviously going to get involved in that. But the other thing is, he said that he is going to take the receivers and tight ends and work with them on his own, which is just sort of why the whole story about him not being at OTAs was just absolutely so stupid. Because there's plenty of time for him to develop chemistry or whatever and all that other stuff. And so it's going to be interesting to see, is he going to do like Ben and take him to a lake somewhere and or a vacation house somewhere, and they're going to spend a week working out and all that other stuff. I just don't know. I just think it's one of those things that it is really imperative to know that the bottom line is they're going to get it done. They're going to play. They're going to have a good time. They're going to get it done. So I feel like, we can put an end to all this stuff where you say to yourself, okay, he wasn't here for OTAs, but who cares? By the time the season comes along, he will have plenty of opportunities to play with the guys that he's going to play with. And, it sounds like him and DK Metcalf already have a good relationship. I'm sure him and Freiermuth will figure it out. I'm sure, the rest of the guys, they'll all figure it out. I don't worry about that. Now, wow. Let's talk about a bigger story. TJ Watt not in minicamp. It's not a big story because we all know that TJ Watt is going to sign and the Steelers are going to, cave in and acquiesce to him and give him what he wants. So he doesn't really need to be at minicamp. But my thing with him is I'm going to reiterate what I've said many times. I don't think the Steelers should give in to him. I don't. I think what the Steelers should do, really, is think about trading him and or do something that actually they don't do generally with guys after their first contract. After they have their first contract, if they're into their second contract, they generally don't do it, but franchise them. Franchise them. To me, that gives you 2 years, or at least the ability to have 2 years without having to get married to him for 2 years. And I think that's pretty significant, honestly. I would tell him, listen, you're under contract this year. We'll see what happens. And then next year I would franchise him or whatever. And I would say, hey, guess what? You are going to have to play under a franchise tag because I don't know that you necessarily have to give him more than that. Honestly. I don't think you do, actually. And I'm not sure how it would help you to give him more than that. See, my thing with Watt is this. Great player. Elite player. Hall of Fame player. Probably. But in each and every season, especially the last 4 or 5, as the season wears on, he gets beat up. His body breaks down. He's not nearly as effective in the playoffs as he is in the regular season because he's usually at the end of a long season where he's had a lot of collisions And he's a, violent player. And the result is, I think he's worn down. I think he's beat up. I think he probably has had to play the last 2 or 3 playoff games, and even the last 2 or 3 games of the season. He's usually got some sort of injuries that he can play through, but they slow him down. Well, what's the number that they're talking about giving him? Have you seen this? I think that when you look at what Myles Garrett got, okay, that's where we're talking. He signed a 5-year deal. This is Watt signed a 5-year deal, $112 million with $80 million of it guaranteed. Okay, made him the highest paid defensive player in the league. Now, okay, Myles Garrett got $205 million. I mean, $205 million is what they gave Myles Garrett. That's what TJ Watt's going to want. And I think when you look at it, right, Myles Garrett and TJ Watt are very similar in age, about 1 year apart. Myles Garrett's contract also is 100. I think it's 125 million guaranteed. 123.5 million guaranteed. That's what Watt's going to be looking for. So, if you think about it, 4 years, 160 million, 40 million per year, 123.5 million is guaranteed this year. I mean, is in that contract. Well, guess what? If that's the case, that's what TJ Watt, he's not going to want a dime less than that. And quite frankly, I don't know that he should take a dime less than that. Because he is basically going to say, I have better numbers than Myles Garrett in almost every category. Why should I take a backseat to him? Why should I not get paid like that? That's the going rate. That's what I deserve. Again, I don't know that I can blame him. I think when you look at it from that standpoint and move it out, I'm 100% on with Watt when it comes to this is what I deserve, this is what I should get, this is how you should pay me, all that stuff. I'm not somebody that always sides with the team or with the player. To be honest, I usually don't side with anybody because I just feel like this is all business. And so there's usually not a right or a wrong. But if you're the Steelers, you've got to figure out, is this right? If you're the Steelers, you've got to figure out, is this right? And for you, for your payroll, for all of that stuff. And I think that is where you look at it and say, hey, we're the Steelers. We can say we've lost playoff games with you. We can lose them without you. It's a little flippant. I get it. There's some people that don't like it, but too bad. The reality is, just like TJ Watt needs to take care of TJ Watt, the Steelers need to take care of the Steelers. Period. Just like TJ Watt needs, to take care of himself, the Steelers need to take care of the Steelers. And again, I just don't think that it's really going to be a situation of where, you look at it and you say, if they give them a 4-year deal, will they get anywhere close to the bang for their buck? Will they get anywhere close to the bang for their buck? And so that is where I would tell you, no, they're not going to. Period. They're not going to. And so, if you tell me 4 years from now, oh my goodness, 4 years from now, they've won a few playoff games, a few division titles, and all that other stuff. Okay, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't really seem like that's going to happen. And I just don't know that he's good enough over the course of the next 3 or 4 years that you want to tie up that much money in him. Now, you are going to have Cam Hayward coming off the payroll here shortly. You're not paying your quarterback much, so you do have some flexibility. But again, All of their money is all on the defensive side of the ball, outside of DK Metcalf now, who actually is getting paid. But think about it, in a year or two, if Broderick Jones actually becomes the guy you want him to be at left tackle, that's great, except for you're going to have to really pay him. Troy Fontenot at right tackle. I mean, right tackles make a little less, but if he's really good, you're going to have to pay him. You'll have to pay Zach Frazier something. I mean, there's a lot of young guys on this team that are coming up on contracts in the next 2 or 3 years. I think if you look at it by those standards, that's, to me, I mean, you got to be careful about tying up so much money in TJ Watt because, again, I think Watt is a really, really, really elite player. He's a great player. But I just don't know that you're going to get the bang for the bucks out of him that you should. And I also don't know if he's the guy, if he's a quarterback or if he's, maybe even like a left tackle. Maybe I think about giving him that much money. But I think for his position, you can probably figure out how to somewhat duplicate or replace what he does without him and do it at a much cheaper number. So, there are people that are angry that Watt is holding out. I don't care, really. These guys have to do it. And the bottom line is this is a business. So, we sit here, we talk about how, well, you want to be on the Steelers side or you want to be on the side of the player. I got to be honest with you. I don't think I want to be on anybody's side. I don't think there is a side that makes sense. I just don't. Both sides have to protect their own interests. Watt's interest is this is probably his last chance to really, really fully cash in, and he wants to make sure he does. The Steelers' interest is we've got to build a team that can win in the playoffs. And if that means we can tie up that much money, then we'll do it. But what we're not going to do is just acquiesce and give in blindly until we absolutely have to. You got to think about it. The Steelers still have 3 months to get this done. So it's going to get done. And, it is what it is. Watt's frustrated because he wants it done now. I get it because the minute it's done, let's face it, Myles Garrett got $123.5 million guaranteed, right? So it's going to probably be $126 million guaranteed for Watt. Honestly, that's the reality. And then I look at, really. So I just feel like it's one of those things that it comes with a lot of discussion. But I think that TJ Watt, and there are people that get angry at me because I say I think that TJ Watt, the Steelers' best course of action would be to let him walk. Actually, trade him. I would have traded him. I might have seen if I could give it maybe a first-round pick for him, and I would have traded him before the draft. But, even after the draft. Someone's willing to give me a first-round pick for him next year, I would trade him. Because the reality is if they got another first-round pick for next year, they would then have the draft capital necessary to move up high enough to go get one of the best, top quarterbacks in the draft. And maybe it costs them a haul of picks and everything else to move up. But the reality is they've got so many now. And, if they got one or two more, they have so many now they can afford to shed a bunch of them and still have enough to build a team. I just think that's the reality. One of the most amazing stats or numbers or whatever you want to say about the Steelers is that there are only 2 guys on the roster who have experienced winning a playoff game in a Steelers uniform. Hayward and Chris Boswell. That's it. And Watt's been here. This is 7 years I think he's been in the league. He's been here long enough that you would think, given who he is or who they want him to be or who they think he's going to be and all that stuff, you would think that he would have been able to lead them to at least one playoff win. But guess what? He hasn't. And that's no disrespect to him. It's just to say, so what is it? 2, 4, 6, 8. He's been in the league 2, 4, 6, 8 years. This is his 9th year. So it's not like he hasn't had opportunities to experience a playoff win. He just hasn't done it. Period. So I gotta believe, honestly, that the Steelers are looking at that and saying, well, we've got a number of guys, that maybe can duplicate or replicate on some level what he's doing. I love all the quotes that come out of these hold-ins or holdouts. It's like media guys don't or haven't figured out or don't remember or whatever that these things almost never result in anything but the player signing. Terrell Austin, blah, blah, blah. He says, we're going to keep preparing and moving ahead, expected to be here. He'll get caught up, no worries. It's an opportunity for young guys to get more reps. Nick Herbig says, myself and the team benefit more when he's here. I'm ecstatic to be running with the ones, but I prepare every day to be a starter, whether it's today, yada, yada, yada. It's the same kind of stuff that's said all the time. As I always say, you know what? It's a lot of manufactured drama. People say, what do you mean? I say this. If the Steelers were going to play a game on Saturday, do you really believe that TJ Watt would still be holding out? That's these off-season holdouts are silly. But we fall for them hook, line, and sinker every time. And I'm not sure why. But every time we fall for them, hook, line, and sinker. TJ Watt is out. He's this. Oh, boy. Okay. He's out. But I don't know. He's not out, really. He's not missing anything. He could miss it, most of training camp. Who cares? He's been in the league 8 years. He knows the Steelers defense. He's a maniacal guy when it comes to working out and training and all that stuff. He's going to be in shape. Who cares? If the Steelers had to play tomorrow or play Saturday, he'd be here. So it's a good storyline, but again, the biggest thing is going to be how are the Steelers going to resolve it? I think we all know how they're going to resolve it. And that is they're going to give him his money and move on. Maybe they're trying to save a few bucks. Maybe they're trying to save a few bucks and see if they can get him for a little bit less than what Myles Garrett, but he wouldn't be holding out if he didn't want to be the highest paid guy. And I don't care how much you love TJ Watt and how much he loves being here and all that other good stuff. When it comes to the money, it's all about the money. There's no hometown discount going to be given. So if the Steelers are hoping for one, they're not going to get one. But to me, I just don't think that I would really want to go there when it comes to TJ Watt. I said it before. I think the best course of action would be to trade him. The second best would be to give him his, to give him a franchise tag and make it so that he is, basically, essentially, you're paying him what he's already going to make this year because he's on the last year of his contract plus one more year, and that's it. You're not tied to him long term. You're not tied to him for $120 or $130 million or whatever it's going to be. You're not tied to him, but other than to say this year and next year you're going to be with us, and then we'll see where after 10 seasons we'll see where you're at. Because ultimately, if you get to the end of the 10 seasons and he still looks like he can really play, you could negotiate like a 2-year deal with him or whatever, like you did with Cam Hayward. I just don't think that you have to do something right now. I just don't. I don't think that you have to go get something done. So, to me, it's going to be very, very interesting to see, what it looks like at the end. But don't be surprised when he comes in. Really. I just think that, he's going to get signed. And when he gets signed, he'll come in and he'll basically say, I've always wanted to be here. Now I'm going to finish my career here. Everyone will be happy. Of course, it's funny. People were really all bent out of shape because Aaron Rodgers, who wasn't under contract, right? Wasn't under contract. And missed voluntary workouts. They're more upset by Rodgers missing voluntary workouts when he wasn't under contract than Watt missing mandatory workouts when he is under contract. That's just what I would tell you. I'm at the U.S. Open. I'll be here all week. Next week, tomorrow, we'll get a lot more into the golf. Today was a practice day. Got to hear from a couple of guys like Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau and Scottie Scheffler, Colin Morikawa. Oakmont is Oakmont. And one of the things that, makes Oakmont is that it's a really, really difficult golf course, even for these guys. And if you listen to all these guys talk, the number one thing that's out there, the rough is absurd. In fact, I think what Scottie Scheffler said, there's one place on the golf course, on the par fours, where if you get in the rough, you have a chance to get actually to the green. And you know what that is? The right rough on number one. The rest of it, if you get into the rough, even these guys who are the best in the world, guess what? You're probably going to have to lay up. He's like, basically, you're going to take a wedge or maybe a 7-iron if you got a decent line, just try and pop it out of there back to the fairway, because that's all you can do. I think it is one of those things where it is, it's going to be a frustrating week. There's a lot of discussion about what's going to be the winning score. Won't shock me if we're talking about like +1 or +2 or even, right around even, winning this thing. It's just going to be really, really difficult. I think for guys to go low in this. Of course, there's always one that breaks out of the field and, seems to be able to do some things on like one of the days and then can play even the other couple of days. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh, wow, this dude is 4 under. But I don't think that's going to be the case this week. Game's always on at Archie's. Get down to Archie's. Archie's on Carson. Archie's, home of 80-cent wings Monday through Thursday. Home of the Paul Zeise grilled cheese sandwich. Get down to Archie's, and when you get there, tell Archie I said hello. Until tomorrow, enjoy yourself. It is The Big Show on Paul Zeise.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.